Trump's Department of Homeland Security just rerouted anti-terrorism funds, literally money meant to keep cities safe, from Democratic strongholds to Republican-run cities. According to Reuters, programs in New York, Illinois, and California saw their grants slashed, while states like Florida and Texas got huge bumps. We're talking about counter-terror funding, money that trains first responders, hidden targets, protects major cities, being used as a political reward system. Homeland Security experts are calling it unprecedented. The grants were supposed to be based on risk and population, not party loyalty. And this isn't some small change either. We're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars shifted right before the election season, when the optics matter most. Taxpayer money that's supposed to prevent bombings and mass attacks now being used as political leverage. So when the next crisis hits a blue city, what's the plan? Tell them to call Texas for help? This isn't governance, it's payback politics with lives on the line.
He shut down the government to avoid extending Obamacare, and then made up a bunch of lies about illegal immigrants to try and defend it. Used the government shutdown to defund a bunch of Democratic states and programs, including $18 billion in New York infrastructure funds, $8 billion in state climate projects, $2.1 billion in Chicago transit projects, and made plans to fire a ton more federal workers as well. He deployed the military to occupy Portland, Oregon, even though it has a way lower crime rate than a bunch of other red cities. He started forcing colleges to adopt certain ideologies in order to get federal funding. Among other things, he wants them to end diversity initiatives in hiring and admissions. He made a deal with Pfizer, giving them exemptions from tariffs that they offer their drugs at lower prices. They're going to be sold on a new website called Trump RX. He, of course, named it after himself. But this is only going to help people who don't have insurance, which is 8% of the country, and who can afford to buy all of their drugs standalone. So it really doesn't do anything to lower prices for the people who need it. He stopped enforcing consumer protection laws for disabled people. Another great change. Thank you, President Trump. He leased out 13.1 million acres of federal land for coal production, and then offered to pay them $625 million afterward just because. He put even more tariffs, this time on lumber, cabinets, and furniture, because the best way to decrease home prices is to make the materials more expensive to get. He announced 100% tariffs on foreign movies, which nobody really knows what.
There are 535 members of Congress. That's 100 senators and 435 representatives. Add the president, the vice president, and the 9 Supreme Court justices, and you get 546 people who run the federal government. That's it. 546. Now compare that to us. 336 million Americans, about 168 million registered voters, over 160 million workers who keep the lights on and the country moving. That means for every one member of Congress, there are over 600,000 of us. That's a whole city for every seat in Washington. And yet somehow, we've been convinced that we're the powerless ones. We scroll, we sigh, we say it's too late, there's nothing we can do. But here's the truth. Power never disappears. It just moves to whoever shows up. Democracy has never survived because of the few in the marble halls. They're voted in and out. Democracy survives because of the many at their kitchen tables who can never be voted out. Us. It survives because of people who still love this country enough to argue for it, vote for it, and stand guard over it. The founders didn't build a system where power trickles down. They built one where it surges up, from the governed to the government. We are the ones who give the government power, not the other way around. And when we forget that, we hand the keys to those who profit off our silence. We are the inheritance of every soldier who fought for freedom, every marcher who faced a government that made them bleed to keep them from feeling their power, every suffragist who went to jail so that the ballot box would belong to everyone. They didn't fight so that we could shrug and scroll. They fought so that we could choose and keep choosing. So the next time you feel like your voice doesn't matter, remember this: there will always be more of us than there are of them. We outnumber the powerful 600,000 to 1. Our breathing drowns out their voice. We outvote them, outwork them, and outlove this country 1,000 times over. Democracy doesn't die when the powerful forget who they serve. It dies when the people forget who they are. But that's not today, not on our watch, not while there are still more of us willing to stand and speak out and prove that we the people still means all of us.
The Trump administration is planning to rehaul the U.S. refugee system to favor white people. Yes, you heard that right. The news comes one day after young Republican leaders were caught sending racist messages on a group chat. Yet some Republicans are pretending like they have no idea where the racism is coming from. The call is coming from inside the House. In January, Trump repealed a 1965 civil rights order that banned racial discrimination in the federal government, and he blamed DEI for a plane crash in Washington, D.C. In February, Trump banned Black History Month events at several federal agencies and fired General C.Q. Brown, the black chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. In March, the Trump administration rehired a 25-year-old official who had been fired after he bragged about being a racist. In April, Trump removed references to Harriet Tubman from the National Park Service website. In May, Trump welcomed only white South Africans to move to the United States while punishing the country's black majority government. In June, Trump announced that U.S. military bases will be renamed after racist Confederate generals who supported slavery. In July, the State Department hired a staff member who said that competent white men must be in charge if you want things to work. In August, Trump announced he would put up a Confederate statue in Washington, D.C. In September, Trump removed a photo of slavery from a national park exhibit. And in October, on the same day when the racist text messages were published, Trump gave a Presidential Medal of Freedom to the late Charlie Kirk, a white conservative who claimed that the Civil Rights Act was a mistake and Dr. King was an awful person. And just today, the Trump administration is at the Supreme Court asking the justices to eliminate a black congressional district in Louisiana and weaken a key provision of the Voting Rights Act. This is just a partial list from 2025. So yes, the racist group chat is not surprising. And it's sad but not surprising that Vice President J.D. Vance refused to condemn it. But as Frederick Douglass warned centuries ago, the white man's happiness cannot be purchased by the black man's misery. Douglass, a proud black Republican of the 19th century, would be ashamed of what the grand old party has become in the 21st century under Donald Trump.
Trump's inner circle is drawing up plans to place political loyalists inside the IRS, people whose job would be to oversee audits of major Democratic donors. According to the Wall Street Journal report, the plan was nicknamed Operation Clean Slate. It involves rehiring certain Trump-approved officials, embedding them in high-clearance divisions, and giving them the authority to greenlight or block investigations. We're talking about turning the nation's tax agency, the one that holds your financial data, into a partisan weapon. One former Treasury official told the Journal it's eerily similar to the Nixon-era enemies list, where audits were used to silence critics. And if that doesn't scare you, consider this. They're framing it as reforming the deep state. But reform doesn't mean replacing independence with obedience. If this plan moves forward, every taxpayer loses. Because once you turn the IRS into a political hit squad, no one is safe from the next person in power.
You know what I was thinking? I was thinking how when you come up through the American education system, that part of your education is learning about the Constitution and Bill of Rights and the differentiators between America and the rest of the world, right? Between the United States and the rest of the world. We are told that our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, our individual rights, our liberties, all those things are what separate us from the rest of the world and what makes America this great shining thing on a hill, shining light on the hill, and which makes this the best democracy ever and the greatest nation in the history of the world. This is the propaganda we get. And I think about how we're taught that, and then a guy is elected and his 77 million people say, yeah, psych, none of that matters. None of that matters. It was all a mirage. We didn't mean any of it. We wanted all to go away. We lied to you. And I think about that. I'm thinking about Kamala Harris's book. When I visited her on her book tour in San Francisco a week or so ago, and she talked about, in response to a question from moderator D.L. Hughley, what she's been most surprised about since the election. She said how quickly all these different industries and people capitulated. And she talked specifically about higher education, and she talked about the champions of industry, and she specifically called out, and it was perfect for San Francisco, the tech industry. And it goes to what I was just saying, that were propagandized and taught all this stuff, and all his millions of voters, 77 million or whatever that number was, who voted for him 3 times, and all those businesses and all those CEOs that have all those mottos and all that stuff they drill into their employees about, ethics and I don't know, all that corporate crap. And then all those teachers and professors who told us all that stuff. And speaking as a black person, most of the teachers for black people are white people. And statistically, most of those white people vote Republican. And they taught us, and they pushed it in our brains. We have to do these things to be good citizens, to be good stewards of democracy, to be successful, blah, blah, blah. And they just all said, psych. So yeah, you know what? Get Kamala Harris's book. Get my book. I wrote the first book on her and the Biden administration, but it's mostly about her. And it's a keepsake. It's a historical document. I wrote it as it was happening. So it's fantastic. I got the color right. Get her book as well. And yeah, if we ever get this thing back like it's supposed to be, I, for one, I'm going to speak for myself, I will never forgive any Republican ever.
It's done. MAGA Republicans like Mike Johnson and Donald Trump were just ripped to shreds by AOC on live TV. I mean, she eviscerated them for being MIA, on vacation, abandoning the Capitol building while this government shutdown's taking place. This is how it's done. Watch Congresswoman AOC live last night on CNN. Let's play this clip.
They need to pick up a phone. They're saying that they're doing all this work. They are twiddling their thumbs and talking to each other. It is actually an unconscionable abdication and refusal to work. They refuse. I've never seen people who hate working so much in my life. I mean, genuinely, they won't even pick up the phone. They won't. If I were Mike Johnson, you should be in that office negotiating with Hakeem Jeffries every damn day until we reopen this government. And any day that you don't do that is a failure. It is a failure. And until there is accountability.
The Vice President of the United States of America, Just Dance Vance, is actively defending young Republicans that behave like fascists. These young Republicans from Kansas and New York said some of the most egregious things I've ever read that young Republicans are saying privately. Honestly, so horrible I can't repeat them here on TikTok. Now, he refuses to call it out because it's horrible behavior, not becoming of any American party, and yet he refuses to call it out. And they're calling for violence and he won't call it out. And this is the problem. So we're going to watch the whole clip, because a lot of people are just showing tiny little clips. We're going to watch the whole clip. I'm going to live react with you, and we are going to watch this together. Let's go.
Explain this for our audience, for those who don't know. We don't need to wallow in it too much.
No, please
So
wallow.
Politico has a story where somehow they got their hands on something like 28,000 messages in some group chat of people that nobody's ever heard of.
Young
They decided to
Republicans.
just publish every single thing in this chat.
Congressional
that they thought
staffer.
they thought was the most
State
salacious.
senator.
And I think 10 years ago there would have been a very different response to it.
Today.
People are starting to learn.
Big response today.
The vice president is one of the reasons why. So you tweeted this. This is far worse than.
This is called whataboutism. What about this? What about that?
Jay
Distraction.
Jones, our friend in Virginia who's running for AG as the Democrat, had said, where he wanted his political opponents to die, and then when someone thought he might be kidding, he called.
No one should do that.
Actually, it wasn't a joke. I was serious.
No one should ever do that. If someone did that, it's wrong.
Quote, this is far worse than anything.
He
said
hides
in any
behind
college
it.
Group chat. And the guy who said it could become the AG of Virginia. I refuse to join the pearl clutching when powerful people call for political violence. And we have 14 million views on that.
Yeah.
And
Just a little viral, Mr. Vice President. Yeah, I mean, look, I'll let the tweet speak for itself. I'll say a couple of additional things. First of all, a person who is very politically powerful, who is about to become one of the most powerful law enforcement officers in the country, that person seriously wishing for political violence and political assassination is
Your boss calls for it every day.
worse than what a bunch of young people, a bunch of kids say in a group chat, however offensive it might be. That's just reality. And if you allow yourself to be distracted by this person's incredible endorsement, disgusting endorsement of political
Yeah, it's wrong,
assassination,
but you're hiding behind it.
focusing on what kids are saying in a
Both
group
things
chat,
can be wrong.
I'm sorry, focus
Both
on
things
real
can be
issues,
wrong.
don't focus what
Just
kids
Dance.
say in group chats. But there's another angle to this that I just have to be honest about. I mean, I'm like an old guy. When I'm 41 years old.
Oh, real old. Yeah.
You know, I grew up in a different world, right? Where not most of the stupid things that I did when I was a teenager,
Different
or a
world.
young adult, they're not on the internet.
Where people acting like fascists is okay. Yeah, it's a different world.
Don't put things on the internet. Like, be careful with what you post. If you put something in a group chat, assume.
Yeah, if you're gonna act like Yahtzees, be safe. Be strategic.
The reality is that kids do stupid things.
Kids,
Especially young boys,
state
they
senator,
tell
congressional
educational
staffer,
jokes like that.
young Republican leaders.
And I really don't want us to grow up in a
He's
country
downplaying
where
horrible
telling a
behavior.
stupid joke, telling a
People
very
calling for
offensive,
political violence. He's
joke
defending it.
is cause to ruin their lives. And at some point,
We're not calling to ruin their lives. We're calling for accountability.
we're not going to allow the worst moment in
Such a liar.
21-year-old's group chat to ruin
Such a
kid's life
fraud.
for the rest of time. That's just not
There's a
okay.
state senator in there.
In the digital world, this stuff is now etched in stone online. We're all going to have to say,
Good.
You know what? No. We're not doing this. We're not canceling kids
Oh.
because they do
Oh,
something
God.
stupid in a group chat. And if
Oh,
I
God.
have to be the person who carries that message forward, I'm
But
fine
you're
with
gonna
it.
go
If
after that.
If they were left-wing kids telling stupid
Oh,
left-wing jokes, I would also not want their lives to be ruined.
Oh,
because
right.
They're saying something stupid.
Right. Nobody believes that.
You and Charlie shared that, by the way. He became, I mean, because he had so many young people at Turning Point that were working for him that
Just Dance Vance has no spine,
to start,
no morals, no integrity whatsoever.
where we've seen, people celebrating Charlie's murder. Yes. And there's been zero outrage as far as I
No,
can
it's
tell,
wrong.
or
No one
others
should do that.
about something so vile as that. I'm still so disgusted that this is
But
like
that doesn't make this right either.
up with as a country.
Grow up, guys.
Mr. Vice President,
Grow up.
Final minute to you,
Disgusting.
whatever
Shameless.
Hi, friends. Adelita Grijalva, your Congresswoman-elect. I'm here in D.C., standing right outside of Speaker Johnson's office. I was certified today. Certified. That means the governor, the attorney general, and the secretary of state have all said, yes, she won. And now they're asking Speaker Johnson, demanding that he swear me in. So that's why I'm here. I came with a lot of my colleagues from the Democratic caucus and the Women's caucus. They all joined me in asking, demanding that I get sworn in. I'm going to be here for 2 days. Speaker Johnson, you want to swear me in?
All right, Mike Johnson, you coward, you squire boy twerp, hiding behind that cross. The ballots have been counted. She has won. She has been certified by the governor. Every day, Mike Johnson, you are silencing 800,000 Arizonians. That is nearly 1 million people with no voice because you and that whole entire administration have something to hide with the Epstein files. And you call yourself a protector of America. You're a predator protector. You call yourself a man of God. You're nothing but a wolf in a Bible costume. Why don't you get your ass down there and swear her in and do your fucking job? All right, y'all, the rest of us who's got some time on our hands, we got to start calling our representatives. We have to call Washington. We call Washington. It's time for this shit to come to an end. Aren't y'all sick of it? Because I'm sure sick of it. Swear Representative Grijalva in so we can get justice for the survivors of all of you predators.
The No Kings protest is so stupid.
Stupid how?
We don't have a king. This is just a Hate America rally.
Actually, protests like No Kings are literally protected by the First Amendment. They are the foundation of our democracy.
Okay, but it's organized by Antifa. They are violent extremists.
That's false. Antifa isn't even an organization, it's an ideology. These protests are organized by nonprofit advocacy groups like Indivisible and labor unions.
Still, it's obviously going to be violent. These protests are dangerous.
Nope. The June No Kings protest had about 5 million people across 2,000 locations. They were all peaceful.
Come on, there had to be violence.
The real violence that day, Minnesota State Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband were assassinated in their home by someone with a hit list of Democratic officials.
Wait, what?
Meanwhile, peaceful protesters are being called terrorists.
But what are they even peacefully protesting?
It's about opposing specific policies. ICE ripping families from their homes, National Guard being sent to cities against local officials' wishes. those are real concerns.
But this is America. We can't have fascism here.
That's exactly the point. People are speaking up to protect democracy before it's too late. That's not hating America. That's loving what America stands for.